Hello, happy Friday, everyone.
Hey Luis, how are you?
Hi, Luis.
Good. So it's 1 o'clock. Let's wait 1 or 2 minutes, Sabi. Let's see if we're gonna have the same amount of participants, or if people are ready with Python fatigue. Hope not.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, so 2 minutes after, we have more than 40 people already. We should be good to go. Before we get started, again, thank you guys. Thank you folks for joining this third session, last of the week, the first week of this basic Python training. Again, if you have any problems accessing any of the files there, the recording sessions or the attendance reports or anything else, just let me know. I try to approve all of the requests as soon as I can, but if you still have any issues, just let me know. I'll put all the files as soon as I get them per day. So we're gonna have everything divided by day. So we have daily sessions all recorded there, and also any additional files will also be in the same SharePoint folder. Okay, Sabi, floor is yours.
Thank you, Luis. So let's start. So how about for this practice session, right? So if I'll share some of the questions after the class, so that everyone will do some hands-on as well, right? Does that sound good? Luis, am I audible?
You're audible, guys. What do you think?
Yes, sounds good.
Yeah, so
We'll
basically Python is
practice.
about practice, right? So if you will practice, then only you will able to generally able to practice and then able to understand what we are going through and all, right? Okay, then let's start. So in the last class, basically we started with strings, and with strings we covered about the methods. Basically, why we are using strings. Strings are generally in order to manipulate the entire output that we are getting. Whenever we are doing any kind of automation, we are pulling any logs. Basically, from that, the output that we get is in the form of strings, and then we manipulate that. Even we can change this string to other data structures as well. But as of now, from as a starting point, let's think about we are getting everything in the form of strings. And in order to access that particular data, right, we are doing string manipulation. And with the string manipulation, we already covered like the methods. We already covered how we can do the use f string or format. We already covered the strips method. We already covered indexing, right? So today we'll start with the what we'll start with. We'll start with list. So before we start with list, so lists will have some traits. I'm not covering numbers, so number will gradually cover number and floats as per the data structure. Data types will cover based on as we go further, right? So important is to know strings, list, dictionaries, and sets. So when we talk about list, so lists are always be represented in a square bracket. When we talk about list, it is always be ordered. When we talk about list, we are defining inside a list, we are defining an object inside it. So in Python, everything is object, right? So whatever we are defining inside a list, that is a part of object. You can say that object, and how we can access these objects is based on index, right? Using, like, if you remember, using strings, right? So strings, we converted that to list using what method? Within split method. With split method, we convert strings to list, and then using index, we will able to get the information that we are looking for. Similarly, if you do reverse, like list to strings, then we'll use join method. Right? Whenever we convert any list to a string, then we need to use join method. And split is being used from string to list. And in order to access list, we will have indexing. And also we can use conditional statements. You can use loops in order to access list as well. Gradually we'll learn that one as well, right? So, and one more important thing is lists are basically mutable. What do you mean by mutable? Mutable is we can change this list, right? And the memory that it stores will be the same. So strings, so lists are mutable, like strings is immutable. So compared to string, we have something called as tuples. So tuples are immutable objects, data structures. Okay.
Sorry, are you sharing?
I'm sharing, yes.
I cannot see
try to go out of the meeting and log in again. That should work.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so let's start with list first, right? So when we talk about a list where we are storing data, for example, we have device, right? With device, we can store information of, for example, router 1. We'll store information as router 2, like this, right? And then this is a list. So if I do type of device, the type of device is basically a list. And if I do a length of device, then length of device will show that how many objects are there inside the list. And for example, if I want to access any of this item, right? So we will able to use index. So index is basically starts with 0, first value. And from the right to left, if it is -1, negative of 1. Right. And now when we talk about a list, and now we want to append something, we want to, as we know that lists are OK, before that. So before that, I just want to show you that we have a list, right? So for example, device is a list. And now we want to convert this list into a string. So what I will do with join method. With join method, we need to specify that what is the separator in the list that we have. The separator is here is comma, right? And then we'll give dot join. And with dot join, we will call the variable in this. Right now, if you see, if you look at device, so device is a list. I convert this list using join method to form a string. So for example, if x equals to, if I'll assign this x equals to this, right? Now x is a string because I convert that list to a string method using join, right? So if I do type of x, you can see the type of x is string. Okay, for example, we have something called as VLANs, and in this VLAN, we will have, for example, 10, we have 20, we have, and we have 30, right? So this is VLAN. So this is VLAN, and it is a list. Now, as we know that lists are mutable, so I can, for example, you convert a list and there you specify the IP address or you specify a VLANs. So for example, and then customer comes in and then say that we need to add another VLANs as well. So what we will do, we will use append method in this. And now with the append method, you will append a value of 40, which is a VLAN 40. And then VLAN 40 is now being added to the last of the string of the list. Okay, so similarly, you can add VLANs or IP address whenever you have any list. For example, you have a list of routers that you want to access, right? So you will have the IP address of that, and then you come to know that another 10 routers are also added. So you can directly add those IP address in this list, and using how you will add it, you can add doing an append. Okay, this is the method that we can use. Another method is, for example, we have VLAN. For example, VLAN 1, let's say VLAN -1 equals to these number of VLANs that we have. So VLAN 1 is this, and then I'll have VLAN 2. VLAN 2 will have some other values. For example, we'll have, let's say, 400, 300, 200, and 100. Two lists that we have, VLAN 1 and VLAN 2. Now, I want to get a result combining these two lists, right? For example, now x equals to VLAN 1 plus VLAN 2. Now x will be all the VLANs. So we can merge basically all the lists together as well. Now I don't want these values, 400 I don't want. So how I'll remove this 400 from this? So x.pop, we can remove the value from there. So pop is now 400 is being popped. So that is here. The thing is, whenever we are using pop method with for a list, it will remove the last object. But if you want to remove a specific one, then you need to specify the index to that. So which value that you want to move it, right? So if I specify 0, the index of 0 will be removed. Right now, new list will be no more with VLAN 10 and VLAN 400. We don't have that because we already popped that. We can also use remove with the VLAN. So VLANs dot remove. If I do a remove and which one I want to remove. For example, I want to remove 1. So 1 is not there. So VLAN 1, basically we need to pass an argument inside of, so like pop, we need to, if we are not using any kind of argument in this, that means it will pop the last value. If you want to pass an argument, that is the index value in this, right? But if I want to remove certain item, for example, if I say 20, I need to pass an argument that is contains within the list, then only it will remove. So now VLANs is equals to 10, 20, and 40. There is no 20 anymore. OK, so how we are and one more thing also we need to see that you don't know the value you don't know the index of 30, right? Let's talk about this big one. So x equals to, this is a VLAN list that we have, and then I check that length is x, length of x is 6, number of VLANs are 6. Now I just want to know what is the position of 100, right? So in order to know what is the position of 100, I can use index and then see that what is the position, means I'll pass an argument of 100 and it will give us the position of 3, which is 0, 1, 2, and 3. Right. So for example, you parse a log file, right? And from the log file, you got the IP address. For example, you have a log file and you are searching for IP address and you convert that log file. So log file is a string. And then based on the string, what you did is you convert that to a list. And from that list, you parse all the IP address from that log file. And then you want to know what is the position of that IP address. So you can get to know the position of the IP address using the index. OK. And now, for example, I have a list. And in that list, I will have like 10, 20. I want to do that I want to sort this one, right? So using a sort method, I can do sorting of this list as well. So if you do, for example, x.sort, and then so now x is being short out with this value. So it is 100. So it started with the 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, and 4 like this. Right. So now x value is short. For example, if I do again short of this value and then do x, so x is again the same thing, but shorting is something it will find which one is less. And based on that is arrange your list accordingly. Anyone, any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. What if I want to sort it in a way that it actually takes the 20 as, are they all like strings or integers? Because the way I would think about sort is that it should start with like, let's say 20, 30, 40.
So it's basically it's a string, right? So it's a string, and based on that, it do a sorting. It's not based on the numbers. It's not based on the number data structure.
Got it. Okay, so it takes that as a string, basically.
Yes.
It's not like an integer value. That's why it's doing it that way. Okay.
Yeah. So for example, if you look at here, so I will have a string, for example, 1, 2, and 3, right? So this is a list.
Right.
1, 2, and 3 is a list. And what content inside this list is a data type of numbers. What content inside this list is a data type of strings. There is a difference, right?
Because
for example,
it's between quotation, for example, with the other one, it doesn't. Got it. Okay.
Right. Let's say I have like this. Right. And then if I do a sort in this, so now it will do a sort accordingly with the number value 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Got the point. But what's the difference, right? These are all strings to the list. These are all numbers to this.
So with the strings, it does the sorting based on the first value of the, okay.
Right.
And it's the same thing with the alphabets, for example. If we have a list of like, let's say names and we want to sort them out, it's gonna take the first letter at that list as the beginning. Okay.
Yes, let's say this one, right?
Got it.
Z. So X is now VABZ, right? So X dot short. And X is now ABVZ.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
There is a difference when we are sorting with the strings, and there's a difference when we are sorting with the numbers.
Right.
So same thing is with the tuples as well, right? So the difference between tuple and a list, both contains the array of information. But for example, we have OS, right? OS type equals to, let's say, Timos. We'll have iOS. We have, let's say, Junos, right? So this, if I do this one, OS underscore type is what is a tuple. So tuple is immutable, right? The difference between list and tuple is it's list we can do append changes and all, but in tuple we cannot. For example, if I do ID of this, ID of OS type, so it will give us a value, right? Now I'll do OS type append as excuse me, SRL. We cannot append inside it, right? So this is the reason it's a you can say that tuple we cannot do anything with the values. So the use case you can say that in tuples are when we are storing the password of the devices. We can have a list of routers or list of password, but passwords are what is not being changed, right? So based on that, we can have a tuples. We can create an array, and based on that, the data structure that we'll use is we can use tuples in that. OK, so next is basically sets. So sets we can say that are being stored in a curly bracket, right? So let's. So if I do type of OS types, right? So this is a set basically, right? So whenever we talk about sets will not. So if I do append in this iOS again, so set will not entertain this because sets do not keep any duplicate values in that. Got it? We can change a set to list to set anytime that when we want. For example, we have a router details, router equals to, these are the routers that we have information R1, R2, R3, R4, right? Now I append inside the router R1 is there. OK, so R1 is there and 2 times R1 is there, right? Now I'll do, for example, host equals to, I convert this to, I need this list to be a unique one. All the duplicate items to be removed from this. You, for example, you have a log file, and from the log file you have multiple IP address, and from the multiple IP address you want only the unique one. So how you will sort those values? So you can sort these values using converting this list into a tuple, in a set, and based on this host, now it's a set now, and there is no duplicate items inside it. And sets are being stored in this brackets. OK, if I do type of host, so this has been changed to set, right? So what we are doing, we are converting this list into a set using set inbuilt function set in that. OK. Any questions in list, tuples, and sets? Anyone? Any questions? OK. So next is in the data types, we will have something called as dictionaries. So dictionaries are basically important piece of data structure that in automation generally we use it, right? So we'll say that router, we have router information, and inside the router information, we will have we can specify host name. For example, we are specifying a host name, right? So when we specify host name, so we need to have what? We need to have a host name and the value of it. So this dictionary, whenever we define this one in a dictionary, so basically we need to define in such a way that this is the key and this will be the value to it. So if you remember, whenever we are doing the script, we are writing a script, we need to specify the information about the router, right? To connect the router. From the router, when you connect it, you need to specify some username, password, right? Port number and all. So whenever you are specifying some username, password, port numbers, so you need to specify that in a key value pair. This is a key and this will be the value. So whenever we are specifying that key value pair, that is basically being used a pair. We are pairing the data together, and by that way we will be able to define these things using a dictionary, right? So dictionary again with this bracket, and then we'll have, for example, vendor. Let's say Nokia. So what we are specifying here, we are specifying a key and we are specifying a value to it, key value pairs. And then what is the device IP? We can specify the device IP similarly, for example, 192.168.1.1. So if I do type of this router, so type of this router is basically a dictionary. So similarly, we can have multiple structures together, like we are defining a device, and inside that device, we need to define, like, for example, R1, and with R1, again, within the dictionary, we need to specify what is the properties of that, what is the IP address, right? 192.168.1.1. And then what is the mask of it? Right. So this is a dictionary device with a dictionary. Inside that, we have another set of dictionaries as well. So dictionary inside dictionary, you can say that. So whenever we are defining dictionary inside dictionary, we are defining multiple device information inside it. Like if you go to the, for example, go to the list, we are defining multiple objects in it, right? But these objects are what standalone objects. But whenever we are defining an object, and based on that object, we'll have different properties, different IP address, different variables to it. So how we can define those? We can define using dictionary, right? For example, 192.168.1.2, or let's say 2.1. And what is a mask? So what we are defining? We are defining two different routers. And with that two different routers information, we are having these information. What that means, device are there, and inside the device, we have a key value pair. And with this R1, we will have again a device information. R2, again, another device information. So we can do multiple key value pairs together as well. So dictionaries are basically unordered before 3.6. So after 3.6, dictionaries are basically ordered values. And how to parse these values? These values can be parsed based on. Can you tell why there is an error happened here? Because we have a device, and inside the device we have one value as R1, another as R2, but we got an error in this. The reason why we got an error is basically we need to make this R1 and R2 separate, and then only we'll able to execute this, right? So now device, inside device, we have multiple devices information, and each device will have its own variable, own unique variable. And if I do, what is this device type is? This device type is basically a dictionary. And if I do length of this device, it will say that this length of this device is what, 2. Why it is 2? Because we have 2 keys with that associated with this. So if I do device.keys, then I'll get R1 and R2 are the keys of this device. OK. So there are multiple things in order to access this dictionary. We can access it using keys, which is this one, these values. We can access these using values as well. Okay, so this is key, and the entire dictionary is a value to R1. And inside that, for example, this is a key, and inside that we have the value to it. So key value pair, key and value for this. Shall I explain it again, or is everyone able to get it? Any questions?
Yes. How do I get the information of R1, for example?
Okay, so for example, you know that what are the keys that we have, right? So we can say that our device.keys is what we have R1 and we have R2, right? So what we can do is, if I want to get device of R1, so device R1, so we get the value of R1. Now I want to know that what is the length of this R1 is. How many items are there inside this?
2.
Right? So it will give us 2. The reason is we will have IP and mask. Okay, again, then you will say that I want to access the IP address. How you can get the access of this IP address? So you need to check the keys, right? Once you check the keys, you'll get the IP and the mask, and what other option might be there, right? So in order to access the IPs, what do you need to do? You need to access the IP as well, like this. So step by step, you need to peel the information to get the information, whatever you're looking for. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So in order to do a complex structure, right? So for example, whenever we are dealing with getting this information, this is an important piece of information. When we get an information from a device and we are using any kind of encoding models like JSON or XML, right? So basically JSON. So whenever we are using API to connect to a device and getting the information from the device using API like REST API, for example. So the information that we are getting back, right, from the router is a form of nested dictionary or nested list inside a dictionary. Will get those informations. And then gradually we will go ahead and peel one after another information to get this specific information like this. So this is where we need to look at what is the key values to it and what is basically how to get access to inside that particular device, inside particular variable key value.
Sabi, question. Is there a way to convert, for example, a string or a list to a dictionary?
Yes. So we will have like JSON modules, and based on this JSON module, we can convert that to a LIX dictionary, and then from there we will able to access those information. So let me give you an example as well. Okay, let's try this. So I'm using an API, right? So how we can access this information? So I'm using an API, let's say request. So with request from reprint and import JSON. So what I'm using request. Request is a library that is being used to connect a device using a REST API for the REST API. For example, if you want to connect using netconf, so you will use NC client. So there are different modules that we'll have in Python to access those devices. OK, so I have a URL to connect that URL and then connect the information about the interface. Let's do the config stuff. Okay, let's take the interface. So URL interface, and then we need to have the headers for that. HTTP headers, and then we will accept that. Accept. We will have device content. And HTTP authentication. And then we'll get the information of response. Response equals to request get. Yeah. Get URL equals to URL. And headers equals to HTTP headers auth equals to HTTP auth. Okay, so if I do the type of response, right, from the device. So basically the type of response is a response module that we'll have inside what HTTP is giving us, right? So now we need to get this information. So the information that we are getting from this device is a form of string, right? Now I will convert the strings using a JSON loads module. So JSON will have JSON load, JSON dumps, convert string into other things, right? So basically the response that we are receiving from this, we will convert this to a dictionary, right? Now, if I do type of data that I have, it's a dictionary, right? And if I do data, so now this is what a dictionary that we'll get. Okay, so when we are getting this value, how we can convert this one? Okay, so first thing is we need to peel, and for example, we want to get the information of the loopback, right? Loopback and what is the IP address of the loopback is. Okay, so we have a bunch of information inside it. And what we did, we fetch the information only the interface, and whatever the interfaces are there in this device, like gigabit Ethernet interface, we will have gigabit Ethernet interface 2, we'll have like loopback interface, we will have virtual interface, we'll have port channel. These are all the interfaces. It is there encoded in this nested dictionary. This is what means a nest dictionary inside a dictionary, and inside that dictionary we'll have list as well. Okay, so now how we will parse this information? You got this information, how we'll parse it? First of all, the best way to know is what is the length of this. So length is showing as 1. Why? So we have so many information about inside it. Why it is showing as 1? The reason is this is the only value which contains again inside a dictionary. So we need to go stepwise in order to get this information. Okay, so first thing, we receive this information in a string. We convert this string using JSON, like because we imported JSON module in this. We converted this string inside to JSON using JSON.loads and converted the entire string, entire chunk of data in a dictionary format, right? Now we'll go inside that. Yeah, please.
Question, Sabi, sorry, before you continue. So basically you are receiving a dictionary, but you receive, of course, in a form of string, and you're trying to go back to the original dictionary.
No.
Is
so
that
what I'm receiving is I'm receiving the response that I sent with a request of get. I'm receiving in the form of string, entire chunk of data. And then I convert that using JSON.loads, using this response. So response is the variable that I'm getting the information. So I'm converting this string into a structured dictionary. So whenever we are getting any information, we need a structured data, first of all, in order to access it. So we are using JSON to convert that string in a structured data so that we can access it.
Okay, so the commas there, it's all being added by that function.
Yes.
Like the commas and the spaces, everything is being added by the. Okay, I got it.
So basically the commas, right? And then we will have list, we will have dictionary. So we will see now how we can peel one by one to get the goal is to get the information about in the loopback and the IP address of the loopback. Okay. We don't know in our string where it is, right? But we will get into that. So first thing we need to check what is the length of the data. So length of the data is 1. So if I do, okay, what is the length of the data is 1. That means there is only one key. That means if I do data.keys, I'll access this one as the first key of that. Then I will go inside it. Data. And then this, right now I got a value of the first key. The first key is the value. This is the key and this is the value of it, right? If I, for example, do what is the length of it? What is the length of it? Then I'll get to know 4 values are there. So now if I want to access this, what are the values inside the key, inside this? So I will get to know about the interfaces that is inside the device. Gigabit Ethernet, loopback, port channel, and this, right? Further, if I want to go inside it, for example, further I want to go and check the value of loopback, then I will go and check the value of loopback. So now I get in the loopback information, right? So if I do length of this loopback, length of this loopback is now 5. If I do this loopback information dot keys, what is the key values inside the loopback? Data keys, yeah.
I think because it's a list.
Right. List, okay, it's a list. So now it's a list. So if I do a type of list as a list, then I can access this one as using like the indexing, right? Further, we are getting into this. And now again, it started with the dictionary. So we can find that what is the key value. Keys are for this. So keys are name, description, and IP. And then further we'll get into the IPs. Right. And then further we'll again it's a dictionary. So we further go into the address primary and then address. I'll get the IP address of from the entire string that I got it. So what we got it from this. So we got an information about an entire data structure, converting that into a dictionary, right? After we convert that into a dictionary, we just get inside one after another. We access that key, and then from that key, we got to know the value of that particular Cisco IOS XE native interface, and we got the value. And these value will have what dictionary? This is what called as dictionary inside dictionary, right? So dictionary inside dictionary is this value. Again, we got the value from this. What are the keys for this? The keys are different interfaces. And then we get into the loopback that we are looking for. Once we get into the loopback, so loopback information is started with the first value is what? List. So we need to get access to each of this list inside a dictionary now. So when list inside a dictionary, will get the access using the index value. Once we get the information about the index value, so we got what? We got a dictionary. Inside that, we got a dictionaries. And then from there, we got to know about the keys of the dictionaries, which is name, description, and IP. And from that IP, we keep on accessing and get into the IP address. Any questions?
Guess not.
So this is a structured way when we get information from the device, right? Similarly, we will have something called as this device. Let's go list inside a list. So how many items inside this will get? If I do length of this, length of devices, how many items will be there inside it? Anyone?
2.
2. Yes. So 2 means we will not be able to access this. We'll able to access the first list and the second list. If I do devices, and with the device, if I do of 0 position, then I'll get these information, and further I can go inside this to access the router 1. So this is what list inside a list. To get the information, to get information about this, I need to go first. I need to peel this one to the first list, and after peeling that, I need to go inside it. So I need to do what? I need to first access this list using 0 index, and then further access it using 1. Okay, so this is an information about list inside list. For example, this is another one. Devices. Devices. What is wrong in this?
It means bracket, I think. You miss one
Yeah, this
bracket.
is a bracket and then close here, right? This is the first
Yeah.
You
one.
miss the,
And
yeah,
you
the
have
bracket
I think
before the
the
switch.
colon-
next, yeah, for the
Yeah,
next
after
switch.
switch one. I think the colon it should be.
Oh,
colon.
okay. Sorry?
Before the switch one, you miss the
Exactly, yeah. Before switch 1.
you need an extra bracket before
there.
that one.
Yeah.
And at the very end.
No, again we need. So
No, no.
because no, again this will
No,
give
no,
us an
no.
error, right?
The curly bracket. You need there before the switch one, a curly bracket. Because
Before
it's a
switch
dictionary.
1, we need a curly bracket.
Yeah, and one at the very end.
This will also work, right?
There.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, got it. Yeah. So basically this is a dictionary started. So this value is what? This is a list, and inside the list we will have a list. We'll have a dictionary. So this is what list and dictionary nested inside a list, right? So if I access that using the first value of it, then it will give us, this is the second value for this, right? This one is 0 and this one is a list. Similarly, what we are doing for this one. So this is what a list inside a list, and then a dictionary inside a dictionary. And furthermore, if I do, for example, keys in this, so we'll get to know about what is a key. And if I want to access the key from here, like switch 1, so we'll get to know about the switch 1 information. Switch 1, again, it will go inside keys. To get it, the information about that is model and operating system. And then further we can peel it like this. So the reason why I'm telling this is whenever we are using any kind of APIs, and whenever we receives, or whenever we are converting that using any module like JSON, and that gives us a structured data. That structured data that we are receiving is a format of nested information, whether it will be in a nested list inside dictionary or dictionary inside list. Right. So by that way, we can access those information using one by another. Means we are basically what we are doing. We are peeling information one after another and then get the exact information about it. OK.
So Sabi, was just a confirmation. I think what you showed is one list. All the objects within one list does not have to be the same type. They can be one as a list, the next one a dictionary, a string, whatever.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
So you can specify, for example, inside a list, the object will be a string. The object will be integer, float, anything. Just an object we need to specify. Okay.
Just wondering why line 106 give us a syntax error.
So line 106 is basically gives us a syntax. The reason is it's a list, but the list shows whether this format is a dictionary or something. It is not right.
So if I want to have like list under a list, and then in that list a dictionary.
Yeah. So this one.
Do I need
for example,
extra the curly bracket under that?
Okay, so for this, right, if I mention this one, it'll give us a, so what is this one? X.
Okay, so yeah, we're missing the curly bracket. Okay.
So basically this one need to be a data structure, right? This data structure is something is now a dictionary. Earlier it was not a dictionary.
Okay.
So we can specify this. For example, what will happen to this now? For example, now I convert this to a list. Do I get an error with this?
Yes, you should. Right.
Right. Because there is no value to it, right?
All right. Thank you.
So there are something in which we need to take care of nested dictionary inside dictionary, list in a dictionary, list inside dictionary inside list. So these are all the nested values. Generally, we will be getting these values when we are accessing any of the log information from the device. Whenever we are pulling any information from the device, we will get these kind of values, and from these kind of values, we will able to access, or we will able to fetch the information that we are looking for. Right? Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So in the last example that you just gave us, so it's a dictionary inside a list, and because you were expecting a list and not a dictionary, then it failed. If you had replaced, for example, the column for a comma, would that be acceptable?
Which one? This one?
Yeah.
This one? Or the previous one? Which one you're talking about?
Yeah, you've replaced that one. If you
Okay.
that one you were showing before, the first
before?
one.
Okay.
Oh, you can use that one. That's okay. Yeah, that one. So if you replace the column with a comma, it will change. Of course, it's not a dictionary anymore, but will that be accepted?
Yes.
Okay.
Now it's a valid one, because the first value is an object, right? Second value is also an object, which is a data structure, which is a dictionary.
So basically, what was a dictionary now it's a string plus a dictionary. Okay.
Right. So earlier this value, it's not able to identify what kind of value it is. So we can do like this. If we want to store this one inside dictionary, then we need to start with this. Then it's a valid one again. Right now it's a list inside a dictionary, and then we'll have this value. Right? Right, Luis?
Right. I got it.
Yeah.
It's my Friday brain that it's a little slow.
Yes. So this is all about the list, dictionaries, and the tuple sets, right? So I'll be sharing some of the questions. So please try, everyone. I mean, some of the exercise using these strings, and then next class onwards, we'll start with the conditional statements and loops. How we can run loops inside a list. How we can run loops inside a dictionary, how we can do a conditional statement, if and statement, and all. Okay.
Great, excellent. Thank you again, Sabi. Does anyone have any additional questions regarding this or the previous training sessions?
Just to add, how do we
Okay.
request access to this sandbox?
Sorry?
How do we request access to this sandbox? Can we have access to it?
Okay, so whenever you want to access a sandbox, you just go to just type in a Google that Cisco sandbox, right? Online Cisco sandbox. It will land you to the let me show you. So direct. So let me show that, and then you can start looking at it. So till the time you don't have the device, you can go like write down as Cisco sandbox online, right? Automation test. So first link, you go there, you log in, use your login credentials, and then you will get the information about all the sandbox devices that you are looking for to do automation.
All right, thank you.
Right, developer.cisco.com site sandbox. So there are few things like you will get the information about the device, which is always on, and also you have the leverage to book the lab, and then you do your automation thing. And from your desktop, from your VS Code, you can do whatever you want to. Right. Yeah. So you need to install the request, the libraries, for example, all the libraries that you want to access using, and then using those, you can either do a interactive session to do it, or you can create your own script and then run it. Right.
Sabi?
Yeah. Good.
Hey, question. Sorry. See here, you are using Cisco. Okay.
Yeah.
On Cisco, we have everything, but on our case, we use Nokia. Okay, the SROS.
Yes.
And it's very hard. It's very hard to parse the Nokia configs because it's not the same as Cisco. It's not the way how they present
Nokia
the data.
is easy. Okay. Nokia configs are easy to parse. Cisco configs are not easy, but why? The reason is Nokia supports the config structure as open config, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And open config are all JSON based.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. But
so let me show you one thing. So
yeah, but on Cisco, okay, yeah.
Yeah, you tell me.
Telling you that on Cisco you find all the tools, all the script that you can reuse, but on Nokia no, there is no. And because I went one period, I want to parse maybe static route. Okay, it was very hard for me. I get this nested dictionary list, and it was very hard for me to get all the data. Okay, until I looped it.
See,
but
whenever we are accessing Nokia device, right? So Nokia give us the config structure like this. This is an open config structure, right? So whenever we are receiving this kind of data, we can convert this module using JSON and then convert it to dictionaries. And then from there, we can parse it. You can give me any example. I'll show you in the next class how we can access these information about Nokia. Even Nokia data structure is very user friendly in order to access these one. See, for example, this we always follow the Yang model, right? So this is a, for example, container. Inside the container, we will have what? A list, and inside we have a leaf, and inside that we will have a list, right? Okay. So these are easier to parse it. In general,
Rafik,
if you ask me about
CLI or you're talking about MD, what's
MD-CLI?
Yeah, I think Rafik's issue is probably with the classic. Is that
correct? It classic CLI?
Exactly. Yeah, the SROS. Yeah, not the MD-CLI. No, the classic one.
Okay, so when
it's not the same way how it is presented.
Okay, so we can okay. So whenever we are accessing a device, right? Yeah. So we need to understand what kind of information that we are getting. It's a form of it's a form of string, or it's a form of dictionary. It's a form of list. So you have a device, right? And that device, you have a development environment. From this development environment, you have a you use PySROS or NetMiko to access it, and then you get the information from this. What kind of data structure you got that from the device? It's a string?
Exactly, yeah, it's default configs. Okay, I can share with you if you want on the start later, but I show you how it is presented. And I use one tools or one module. It called the TTP SROS parser. It was developed by someone.
Text parser, yeah.
Exactly, this is very good but it's very limited. It's very limited in terms of parsing. If you need, for example, the new way how Nokia is presenting the static route, it's not as the old way. Okay, for the it's not different and
okay, you share me the output. Next class I'll tell you how we can parse it.
Yeah, I can show you. Yeah. Okay, yeah. And I will share with you that.
Yes, and then we can parse that data and then present in the class, right?
Yeah, I can use also text CFM as what you are sharing, but I think it's very hard to parse this kind of
text
data.
FSM.
Yeah, text FSM. Yeah.
So text,
okay.
NTC client, NTC templates, we can use it. So basically under the hood, whenever we are using text SFM, we need to use the NTC templates, right? The NTC templates are basically customized way to do it, right? If we don't have those customized modules for Nokia, then it is tough to parse those information.
Exactly. Right? Yeah.
But the other way around is if we are getting some data, so we can try to parse using whatever we know to do it, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Got it?
Yeah.
Okay,
if you want
sounds
next,
like a plan.
Yeah. Okay. I will share with you.
If you can ping me the information config, and then let's do it. I'll ping you. Let's do it together today, and then figure out, right?
Okay.
So
today
it will
or
be
the
learning
next
for
class.
both of us, right?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Great. So guys, have a great weekend. By the way, we have a transfer of knowledge session starting right now. So if you guys want to jump to that one, if you have the link, and if not, have a great weekend, everyone, and we talk again on Monday.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.